Hey, this is the video for the Google Sheets lesson. So you should have a link to this spreadsheet on the Google Classroom assignment. And if you click on it, it does make you have a forced copy. So once you get that opened up, you will see that this is some data inputted for some students with tests 1, 2, and 3 in Mr. Lee's biology class. And what we're going to do today is we're going to practice doing some basic formatting in Google Sheets as well as some basics formulas. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on cell F5. So our F is our column header and our 5 is our row header. And so I'm going to pick the cell that those meet in. And then I'm going to go over here to our functions button. I'm going to click on that and I'm going to go to average. What it's going to do is it's going to automatically input equals average, open parentheses, space, close parentheses. So how this actually reads is equals the average of, so I want this cell to tell me the average of whatever we put inside those parentheses. So what we're going to do is we're going to select cell C5 through cell E5. And by doing that, you will see that it automatically puts it in there. We're going to press enter. And then Google Sheets is going to ask you if you want it to autofill. What this means is it's going to say, hey, it looks like you have similar information all the way down. Do you want me to copy that information? And in this case, we can go ahead and click yes. Now you will see that we have some with repeating decimals, some with no decimals. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually select all those averages that we just put in, and we're going to go up here and we're going to decrease it and round it to the nearest whole number with no decimals. So if you look up here beside your font, you have some zeros. So one increases decimal space and one decreases decimal space. We're going to click that decrease decimal space until there is no decimals, and it's going to automatically round to the nearest whole number. All right. Next, we're going to come down here. We're going to slide down. And we're going to click in cell C33. So in cell C33, we're going to also find the average. Now I'm going to show you a different way to find the average, and that's by just typing average in. So we're going to type, I want this to calculate information, and how you tell Excel or Google Sheets to do that is you type the equal sign, and then you're going to say AV, and it's automatically going to guess what you want. And so we do want it to do an average of cells C5 through C30. So I'm going to click right here, and it's going to go ahead and put that in there. And then what we can do, and since it didn't auto-suggest or auto-suggest an auto-fill for those averages, I can click on this little square in the bottom right-hand corner, and I'm going to click and drag those over 2 spaces. So this is going to be my average for test 1, test 2, and test 3. Right? The next thing that we are going to do is we're going to click on cell C34 right here, and we're going to do a different type of formula. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to move my face. Back up here to our formulas or our functions, and we're going to click on max. And this is going to say, I want to know what the max number is, or the highest number in this range of data. So I'm going to click on the test scores for our students, and it's automatically going to put in C5 through C30 after you select them, and I'm going to press enter. And then in cell C35, it wants you to find the minimum score. So we're going to say, over here to our functions, minimum score of all the information for test 1. And then I'm going to press enter. All right, so you should have a 100 there and a 65 there. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we're going to select those, and we're going to just drag those over, just like we did the others, by using that bottom square. And what that does is it copy and pastes that formula, and it moves over. So if we look, in cell C34, the formula says equals max of C5 through C30. If we look in the next cell, we see that it says equals max of D5 through D30. So whenever we drag across, it's saying, I want to do the same thing, but with this new column of information. And if we drag down, it's going to do the same thing. I want to do the same formula, but I want to go down a row with that information. All right, so now that we have all of that, what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the very top. We're going to select row 4. To select an entire row or column, all you do is click on the header. And then we are going to bold that row. So we're going to click the bold button, and we are going to now select cells C4 through F4, and we're going to right align those cells. We're also going to bold cells C33 through E35. So we're going to go down to C33 through E35, and we are going to bold those cells. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click bold. All right. Our next step is we're going to cut and paste, and I am going to go ahead and round these to the nearest number by deleting out those decimal spaces. So there we go. And to cut and paste, there's a few different ways that we can do that. First, I'm going to select and drag down to select it. You can either go to File, Cut, or Edit Cut, or you can right click and go to Cut. So I'm going to go to Edit Cut, or if you know Control X, you can also use that. And I'm going to click in cell B33, and I'm going to press Control V. And that's another way to paste, or I could have gone up here to Edit Paste. All right. We are going to resize this column so that we can see all of the word scores. So I'm going to bring my cursor up here between cells B and C, and you'll see that my cursor goes from a pointer to a double-headed arrow. So I'm going to double click, and that's going to automatically resize that column so that it will fit for what we're looking for. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on sorting our test scores. So we're going to select all of our data. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom, so F30, and I'm going to scroll all the way up to A4. And I'm going to have all of that information sorted. So I'm going to go up here to my Create a Filter button, and I'm going to click on it. When I click on it, it looks like a little funnel. You'll see that beside each of those little row headers right here that we have, I get 3 lines. Those 3 lines, what those do is they allow you to sort the information in that selection by a certain way. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually sort these by test 1. So we're going to sort in test 1. So click on the 3 lines beside test 1, and we're going to click A to Z. All right. So what that does is it puts all of those items in lowest to biggest. So if we click A to Z and we're using numbers, A is smallest, it's letter 1, whereas Z is letter 26, so it's the biggest. And you'll see that it's now been sorted, and all the numbers moved with where they were supposed to go. Right? Our next step is we're going to add borders. So we're going to select A4 through F30 once again. And then we're going to add a line around it. So we're going to go to our borders drop-down menu, which is right here. And we are going to click on Add All Borders. Right? So we're going to look over it, make sure everything looks the way we want it to. And we're going to go to File and Print. And this is going to be our print preview section, so we can kind of look over some different things here. In this section, we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the grid lines from our page. So we want to go to Formatting right there, and we're going to click that button, and you see it gets rid of all those extra grid lines that we did have. So we don't want those to show. Excuse me. And then next, we're going to scroll up a little bit more, and we're going to change our page orientation. We're going to change our page orientation to Portrait. And then we're going to click the Next button. Once we click Next, I need to move myself again. We're going to go over here, our destination. We're going to change that to Save as PDF, and we're going to click Save. Now this is I'm going to save it to my desktop. I'm going to name it Dickerson _ Google Sheets. Right? And I'll save that to my desktop, and that will actually be the file that you need to turn in for this assignment.